things just got out of hands, ladies and gentlemen, and we're gonna have to lay the wood down tonight. Unpause. What the hell is going on right now? NASA confirmed that alien life exists. But what about this? What about Project Stargate? 001, Joe McGonigal. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're gonna find out. We also got Captain the Y-Files on it as well. We also gotta talk about remote viewing, and we're gonna get down to this latest NASA news. And what about this thing that was exploding, exploding 5 years ago about CIA X-Files, life existed on Mars, and giants built the pyramids. Needless to say, you're gonna get some tonight, ladies and gentlemen. You do not have to like the video. You do not have to subscribe. Roll it.
CIA turned Scientology into a weapon. In the 1970s, through a secret program called Project Stargate, the agency poured money into remote viewing, a way to spy across space and time. Leading the charge was Ingo Swann, a high-level Scientologist trained in their ritual of exteriorization, or controlled out-of-body travel. At Stanford Research Institute, he stunned scientists by describing Jupiter's
Man, I thought it was just like Tom Cruise and Scientology, but dang, it's
travel.
deeper than
At
that.
Stanford Research Institute, he stunned scientists by describing Jupiter's rings years before NASA confirmed them. And he wasn't alone. The CIA's top physicist, Hal Puthoff, was also a devout Scientologist, bringing fringe occult beliefs directly into a government lab. And that's the CIA's genius. And it's evil. They didn't care if it was science or cult dogma. If it could be twisted into control, they funded it. So was Project Stargate really about spying on enemies? Or about testing how far belief itself could be weaponized? Drop a signal if you're still receiving this transmission.
Can you remote view through time?
Yes, not a...
This is 001 Joe McGonigal. Former U.S. Army Chief Warrant Officer. These are his credentials, and he has claimed to have viewed alien life on Mars. Oh, shit! You're looking at a very short version, but it's important, and we're gonna dive into this document right after, just so you have the context, right? Roll it.
problem. You can go...
Can you remote view through time?
Yes, not a problem. You can go back in time, you can go forward in time. There's some proof that no human being operates in the moment. We're affected by our past, we're affected by our future. We know that to be true. We just don't know what the aperture is. We do know going into the past is way easier than going into the future. And the reason why is you go into the past, all the concepts that support action in the past, you're familiar with.
Would it be possible to manipulate time?
Yeah, I suppose you could if you had enough advance warning on something. You could be looking for it to the point that you could use it.
The CIA turns...
But it's not like, you know, going back to the future, killing your grandparents, and then finding out that you were never born, right? Because that's like the time travel paradox, but that's not what it is, right? Let's get to this one, and we're gonna get down to what NASA said, right? You've probably seen it already, but, you know, we're gonna get to that, and we also gotta have Captain Y-Files on, but Project Stargate. Now, don't get it twisted with Stargate Project, because Stargate Project, Project Stargate, two different projects. One is about the AI, which Donald Trump has, I believe, started or basically allowed it to begin a couple of months ago, or a year or 2 years ago, or maybe it's been longer than that, which is about AI, but Project Stargate was about something else. Roll it.
An unassuming document titled Mars Exploration, May 22nd, 1984, is collecting virtual dust in the CIA archives. In this episode, we're going to talk about the time the intelligence agency says they sent a psychic to Mars, and whether or not we can believe it. We're a new channel covering under-the-radar, declassified files like this. Subscribe to join us. Published online 2 years ago with little fanfare, this document is one of the most peculiar things to come out of the Stargate project. Stargate was a once-secret U.S. Army unit created to investigate whether psychic phenomena had any military use. The project was terminated and disclosed in 1995 after the CIA decided results were too inconsistent for intelligence.
Doubt it. Lies. Lies! We demand answers! We demand answers! You're telling us that you just found life on Mars? That's some bull squash. Let's be objective or let's be real.
Applications. But that doesn't mean the project's findings aren't worth exploring. Stargate mainly focused on remote viewing, which is the alleged ability to see events, locations, and information psychically, even if the viewer was in a distant place or time.
Yeah, that's
Practical
crazy, man.
remote viewing sessions were conducted, such as asking analysts to describe the contents of future magazine covers. Other, more extreme viewing targets were also given, which brings us.
That's where 001, you know, Joe McGonigal comes in. This is why, like, this is why I wanted to play this clip, because he has claimed to have remote viewed Mars. Now, I'm not saying that is true. I'm also not saying it's false. It's just what we have, right? And it's, yeah, I mean, it is crazy, right? Like, when you really think about it, you're sitting here, you close your eyes, and you can tell what's happening, like a street across. And in the case of Joe McGonigal, claimed to have seen on Mars, shit on Mars. Oh, shit. Oh. Yeah, like that's just insane, right? But you have people that believe in remote viewing. Yeah, hence why the name is remote viewing. You stay here and you can view what's happening, hence why it's called remote viewing. But some believe it and some don't believe it. And yeah, let me know if you believe it or not. But
us to the truly weird exploration of Mars in 1984. In this session, an analyst, an unnamed male, was given a sealed envelope and a separate set of geographical coordinates from another unnamed individual known as the Monitor. The envelope contained the following information: the planet Mars, time of interest approximately 1 million years BC.
Yeah.
According to the declassified transcript, the envelope was not opened by the analyst. He began describing what he saw. It looks like an oblique view of a pyramid or pyramid form. It's very high. It's kind of sitting in a large depressed area. It's yellowish, ochre colored. I'm tracking severe clouds, more like dust storm. It's a geological problem. Seems to be like just a minute, I've got to iron this out. It's really weird. I'm looking at a after effect of a major geological problem. The Monitor then asks the analyst to look around for any activity. I'm seeing it's like a perception of a shadow of people, very tall. It's only a shadow. It's as if they were there and they're not there anymore. The analyst attempts to go further back to see these people, but complains of what is only described as static. I just keep seeing very large people. They appear thin and tall, but they're very large, wearing some kind of strange clothes. We'll just...
Context, he remote viewed, I'm assuming it's referring to Joe McGonigal 001, but could be wrong if you correct me if I'm wrong, so I'm just going to be putting that out forward. But it is claimed to whoever that person was, it is claimed they went back 1 million years in the past to remote view on Mars. Oh shit! Oh shit! This is insanity though, right? Like, if true, and this is documented by CIA. Yeah, guys, and this is just the appetizer. Yeah, get ready, you're gonna get some tonight. And before I forget, I gotta shout out Honey Badger Diaries. She claims that she watches daily, and she wants me to shout out her hubby Sean, tell him I love him and proud of him. Yeah, Sean, I better not hear anything bad, okay? Otherwise, yeah, man, you're not gonna like you, okay? So yeah, shout out to your hubby Sean, and shout out to you. Shout out to the homie Matt, Shell. You guys like went crazy on the last UFO episode. Durango, Traka, Tara, Jean-LeFrancois, thank you guys so much for all the love on the channel, for the way you do, the way you support it. You don't have to do any of it, man, but thank you guys so much for all the love. Alright, let's get back to the content here, boo. Roll it.
Some kind of strange clothes. They appear thin and tall, but they're very large, wearing some kind of strange clothes. We'll just take a break here to remind you this is an official CIA document. You can read it in the video description. The Monitor then asks him to move to a different physical location. They unfortunately don't explain where these coordinates are coming from. Deep inside of a cavern, more like a canyon, I'm looking up the sides of a steep wall that seem to go on forever. And there's like a structure. It's like the wall of a canyon itself has been carved. Again, I'm getting a very large structures, no intricacies, huge sections of smooth stone. He explains the structures have very high, wide rooms inside of them.
So this was the claim 1 million years ago, right? I mean, remote viewed 1 million years back. And this is something that NASA put out a couple of years ago. Or a little too long ago, right? Which we're gonna get to. And the latest is this, where they're claiming that they have found microbial alien life. Still alien life, but they're claiming they have found it. Yeah, right? I think this is a soft reveal of sorts, but...
22 minutes pass, and the transcript resumes at new coordinates, where, just listen. They have appears to be the end of a very large road, and there's a marker thing that's very large. Keep getting Washington Monument overlay. It's like an obelisk.
No, say
The concept of overlays comes up several times in this transcript. We couldn't find a formal definition of this, but based on how it is used, it implies objects from the remote viewer's memory can sometimes overlay objects in the vision if they are similar enough. The monitor then gives him free range to choose areas he finds interesting, and he begins describing pyramids designed to be, quote, filtered from storms. They're like shelters from storms. He ventures inside these. 37 minutes pass, and the transcript resumes. Different chambers, but they're almost stripped of any kind of furnishings or anything. It's like a strictly functional place for sleeping, or that's not a good word, hibernations. I get real raw inputs. Storms, savage storm, and sleeping through storms. The monitor then asks, tell me about the ones who sleep through the storms. Very tall again, very large people, but they're thin. They look thin because of their height, and they dress like it's like a real light...
Nah, they don't have American cheeseburgers, bro. That's what it is, man. They don't have the fries like we do, right? They don't have that junk food like we do. That's why they be thin. Yeah, they need to come down here and, yeah, let us hook them up, you know? Yeah, let us hook you up with some, you know, tacos, with some American cheeseburgers, with some, all that junk food that we got. Yeah, let us hit you up with some, you know, Logan Paul Prime out here and get you all that sugar in your system and get you all, like, busted. Or, okay, pause, that's way too much. Okay, roll it.
Silk. He continues, they're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age. They're very philosophic about it. They're just looking for a way to survive, and they just can't.
Dang.
40 minutes pass, and the transcript resumes. Can't seem to get their way out. They can't seem to find their way out. So they're hanging on while they look or wait for something to return or something coming with the answer.
Right.
When pressed on who might return, he continues. Evidently, it was a group or a party of them that went to find a new place to live. The analyst then explains what he sees when focusing on what caused the environmental disturbance, and he simply can't explain it. I see a picture.
If you ever heard those conspiracy theories about, like, that there was a nuclear war on Mars, shit, that is one of them. I mean, holy shit, if this is true, then you link that conspiracy theory with this one, that might further explain, but I know we're, like, trying to fill up certain holes, pause, but yeah, right? So it's one of those things. It doesn't mean it's true. And also, there is this conspiracy as well, that conspiracy theory that we're not from Earth, that we were from another planet and we came here. And yeah, and then, you know, we also have the conspiracies of Anunnakis and all that they messed with our DNA. So yeah, man, the rabbit hole goes deep. Like at this point, like, you don't even know what's true anymore, right? What is true, what is not? Shit, man, it's fascinating stuff, don't get me wrong, but, you know, at times you also wanna know the truth, but you cannot handle the truth, is what they say. But I feel like that we can. We can. We got so much shit going on right now. Yeah, I mean, bring it in, man, bring it on.
Picture of disturbance, and he simply can't explain it. I see a picture of this is difficult. It's like a globe that goes through a comet's tail, or it's through a river or something, but it's all very cosmic. More on what this may be in a bit. We're then apparently made aware that the analyst has been communicating with an individual. It's possible more of this interaction was in the 40 minutes that passed before this part of the transcript resumed, but we don't know. Quote, all I get is that they must just wait, doesn't know who I am, thinks he perceives I'm a hallucination or something. The monitor then asks how the others left Mars to find a new place to live. The analyst responded, it looks like the inside of a larger boat, very rounded walls and shiny metal.
Ooh.
The monitor then tells him to go along with them to find out where they go, and the analyst provides this explanation. Impression of a really crazy place with volcanoes and gas pockets and strange plants. Very volatile place. It's very much like going from the front.
Yeah, from what I know, this was, like I was talking about, right? It was Joe McGonigal 001, but it does not say his name, so it's kind of iffy, right? From what I hear, it is Joe McGonigal, but still, that's why it's not mentioned here, so this is why I'm saying, correct me if I'm wrong, if you know. I believe it is Joe McGonigal.
Go forward in time.
It is him. It is him. But it's not mentioned here, so I don't want to jump the gun.
Frying pan into the fire. Difference is there seems to be a lot of vegetation where the other place did not have it, and different kind of storm. And that's it. The document concludes. We unfortunately get no post-session briefing or the ability to understand why the monitor chose Mars or if the analyst felt any after effects. And we have no way to verify the direct observations. But recent observations do tell us Mars did experience geological issues that could have contributed to the loss of the planet's magnetic field and evaporation of surface water. A 2009 study from the University of California, Berkeley shows asteroid impacts during a period known as the Late Heavy Bombardment about 4 billion years ago heated Mars's mantle. This could have disrupted convection in the core, enough to eliminate the magnetic field. Could that have been the comet the analyst was vaguely referring to?
And there's another one of those conspiracy theories that the Martians are here, lock yourselves in the basement. And there's another one of the conspiracy theory that life on Mars exists, but it is underground. Now, let's actually get down to this one. So fast forward to now, present day. This is what NASA gotta say. And get ready, man. We're gonna get down to Captain Y-Files as well. Roll it.
We found a sample, and it was, again, we're exploring in places where there were rivers and where there were lakes. And much as on Earth, we think that that's where we'd see signs of ancient life on Mars. And so a year ago, we thought we found what we believe to be signs of microbial life on the Mars surface. And so we put it out to our scientific friends to pressure test it, to analyze it, and go, did we get this right? Do we think this is signs of ancient life on Mars? And after a year of review, they've come back and they said...
Not a year, years. Plural. Years of review. You have been hiding the truth. You have been hiding the truth. We demand answers. The taxpayer demand answers. Now, there is absolute bull squash, man. You're telling us that it's just now that we're finding it? Nah, man. Come on now, right? Like this. But I'm happy by the fact that it's coming out, right? Perhaps this is a soft reveal of sorts, right? I mean, microbial life is still life. So if microbial life exists on Mars or other planets, that's still alien microbial life, right? Because alien just means not from this Earth, right? So yeah.
Listen, we can't find another explanation. So this very well could be the clearest sign of life that we've ever found on Mars.
And today, we are really showing you how we're kind of one step closer to answering humanity's one of their most profound questions, and that is, are we truly alone in the universe? So last July, as Secretary Duffy eloquently described, NASA's Perseverance rover found a leopard-spotted rock at Mars. And scientists immediately knew, it was interesting, we hadn't seen anything like that before on Mars.
Right.
And we talked about it last summer. The moment we found it, we put out the images for everybody to see and everybody to share in the joy of NASA science. So they've done the analysis on these leopard spots, and we think they are potentially made by some sort of ancient life.
These textural features told us that something really interesting had happened in these rocks. Some set of chemical reactions occurred at the...
Now, could it be that these gentlemen are speaking the absolute truth? Yeah. Could it be that they're lying and they knew about this for decades and there's way more than what they're letting on? 110% as well. Could it be both? A little bit of both? Absolutely. Could it be that there is like deep ops? Obviously deep ops exist, right? Dark ops and all that. Skunk Works, Lockheed, and deep state. Yeah, that's the word that I was looking for. Yeah, surely it does exist. Yes, surely secrets are also kept. And maybe perhaps these gentlemen and gals out there really did discover all of that on quote unquote on a bigger level at NASA. And they're like, okay, well, yeah, we gotta tell the public about it, right? Like, yeah, it's not like one guy or a couple of, we cannot keep this one hidden, so we gotta come out. Yeah, maybe the other stuff was kept hidden. Or it's, again, like a soft kind of reveal. We'll find out. I guess we're living in very fascinating times, scary times, interesting time, fascinating times. Maybe this is the one. Maybe in a couple of years' time, we're gonna know the full story, or at least the surface of it.
the time they were being deposited. And so we really wanted to understand what those reactions might have been. This sort of combination posited. And so we really wanted to understand what those reactions might have been.
Or maybe this is like testing the waters and seeing like how the public would react, and if the reactions are positive and we can handle the truth, then maybe we're gonna get more. If we cannot handle the truth, maybe we're not gonna get some. Perhaps that's what it's all about.
Sort of combination of mud and organic matter that has reacted to produce these minerals and these textures is that when we see features like this in sediment on Earth, these minerals are often the byproduct of microbial metabolisms that are consuming organic matter and making these minerals as a result of those reactions. But there are non-biological ways to make these features that we cannot completely rule out on the basis of the data that we collected with our rover payload. So what we need to do from here is to continue to do additional research in laboratory settings here on Earth, and ultimately bring the sample that we collected from this rock back home to Earth so that we can make the final determination of what process actually gave rise to these fantastic textures.
I want to remind...
Now, could it be that these gentlemen and gals really are the ones that broke the seal and are the first ones on NASA, like on that level, to give us the truth? Perhaps. And if that's the case, that is amazing, right? Because somebody had to break the seal and let us in on it, right? Yeah, so perhaps maybe it's that. Maybe it's a good one. Or perhaps it's a soft launch or soft reveal.
Remind everyone that what we're describing here is a potential biosignature. That is a characteristic, element, molecule, substance, or feature that might have a biological origin but requires more data or further study before reaching a conclusion about the presence or absence of life.
Right, and the first comment was, I don't know, you can see it, but you can see half of it, right? Guy says, we got life on freaking Mars before GTA 6. Shout out to Y-Files. Here we go. Roll it.
Was studying the images of a region of Mars. 5th, 1976, a NASA scientist was studying the images of a region of Mars called Cydonia when something caught his eye. He had to take a second to process what he was seeing. He grabbed a magnifying glass. There was no doubt. On the surface of Mars, 140 million miles from Earth, was a structure in the shape of a human face. It was huge, about a mile wide, and showed 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. Around the face were pyramids and structures that didn't look natural. They looked like they were built by someone. The following day, NASA held a press conference. Of the thousands of photos sent back from Mars, all anyone asked about was the face. Who built it and why? Is it a message from an advanced civilization now long extinct? Is it a religious artifact? Is it solid like the Great Sphinx, or could it contain chambers like the Great Pyramid? Then NASA threw cold water on the speculation. They said there was a second photograph of the area taken shortly after, and that photo showed that the face was nothing more than an optical illusion. Small problem. That second photo doesn't exist. So why did NASA lie? Well, the answer to that question is in the other pictures.
Never a straight answer. That's what it's all about, man. NASA has never been a straight answer, like... But okay, let's find out.
For centuries, we've been captivated by the mysteries of the red planet. The ancient Egyptians saw Mars as a god. The Greeks named it after their god of war. But it wasn't until the 19th century that we began to unravel some of its secrets. In 1877, Italian astronomer Giovanni Schiaparelli made detailed observations of Mars.
Ooh.
He saw strange markings on the surface that he called canali.
Ooh, I love those. It's like an Italian sweet cheese taco.
That's cannoli.
Delicious.
Canali means channels in Italian, but the media thought it meant canals. And this led to speculation that the canals might have been built by an intelligent race of Martians. And as technology improved and with the space race in full swing, getting close-up photos of Mars became a priority.
You could only imagine, right? The first guy, like he was talking about in the 1800s, he made the map of it. Yeah, right? Like, what in the world? Perhaps it's one of those things because, you know, the Earth orbits, you got Mars orbiting, like other planets are orbiting. So yeah, there are times where you can see Mars from Earth, right? Like, it's just gonna be like a dot. Perhaps that's, you know, in the 1800s, that happened. The guy was out there with the telescope and bam, he zoomed in on that thing and captured the Mars ass and put it on the paper, you know, ink to the pad, and he drew the Mars ass on it and paused. But no, jokes aside, what I'm trying to get at is that it's amazing stuff, man. Truly is wild stuff, that how astronomers back in the 1800s were, you know, making stuff up based off of their understanding and based off of what they were seeing, and basically just, you know, putting 2 and 2 together.
1965, the Mariner 4 probe flew past Mars and sent back 22 images. Even though the first pictures of Mars were exciting, they were also disappointing. There were no vast cities or canals or any evidence of an ancient culture. Mars looked like the moon, harsh, barren, pockmarked by meteors, completely lifeless. But as technology continued to improve, the idea of life on Mars became less far-fetched. Yes, Mars is cold and barren now, but years ago that wasn't the case. Mars was once covered with vast oceans of water, flowing into rivers and lakes all over the planet. It had a thick atmosphere that kept the surface warm. Mars had volcanic activity and even a global magnetic field, just like Earth. It was a long time ago, but the red planet was, at one time, a blue planet, with all the ingredients necessary to support life. In 1975, NASA sent 2 spacecraft to Mars, Viking 1 and Viking 2. These probes each contained an orbiter with a high-resolution camera and a lander. In the summer of 1976, Viking 1 and Viking 2 finally reached Mars. Both orbiters took thousands of photographs of the Martian surface. NASA scientist Toby Owen was one of the first researchers assigned to look for landing sites. And when Owen found the face on image 35-A72, he was beyond excited. NASA released the image to the press as a way to increase public interest and attract attention to Mars. This worked, but a little too well, because the face was the only thing the press wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
It became such a big story that NASA had to release a follow-up statement about the face, saying it was just an optical illusion, and they took another photo to prove it.
Isn't it peculiar what tricks of light and shadow can do? When we took another picture a few hours later, it all went away. It was just a trick, just the way the light fell on it.
Lies! Lies!
Except that second photo was never produced, and nobody thought to ask. Face or not, Cydonia was the top contender for the landing site of Viking 2. The terrain is flat, visibility was good, and there are interesting rock formations to explore. But a few days after the release of the face photo, Viking 2 landed in a barren, rocky region called Utopia Planitia. One scientist working on the mission complained that this was like landing in the Sahara Desert and expecting to find a garden. So why the last-minute change of the landing site? Is there something going on in Cydonia that NASA doesn't want us to see?
Or perhaps the ALMOs were there and they were like, not land, not here, or we're gonna turf your ass here on Mars.
Well, the answer is yes. Lots of things.
Uh-oh.
Monuments are not built in isolation. The pyramids found in Egypt or in Central or South America were not single structures. They were part of sprawling complexes of buildings, town squares, and temples. If an ancient culture living on Mars created a monument of a humanoid head, we'd expect to see other structures close by. And that's exactly what we see. There's a cluster of pyramids near the face that people call the city square, and near those is an object nicknamed the fortress, which appears to be a collapsed pyramid. There's a formation called the D&M Pyramid, named for NASA imaging scientists Vince DiPietro and Greg Molinar. D&M is a massive 5-sided, 1.5-mile tall structure. This is 3 times the size of the largest pyramid in Egypt. But what's really interesting about the D&M Pyramid...
Holy crap. Yeah, would you look at that? And it's, it is fascinating to not know, because we think we know how the pyramids were built, or who made them. I mean, it's like we believe that it's just us, that made it back in the days, right? Conspiracies do suggest that it was not us, it was them Alamos, them aliens, and all that. And yeah, no, we have like drawings, we have made animation videos of trying to make sense of how like people moved those blocks, like tons and tons of blocks, right, that weighed tons. Yeah, so we have made animations and tried to make sense of it all, but in all reality, we just don't know like how the pyramids were made. We think we know, but we just don't know. Yeah, and finding the same or bigger pyramids, structures like that on a different planet Shit, right? Like, what are the odds, man? That is fascinating, right? That is an indication of intelligent life forming something like that on a different planet, because, you know, it wouldn't be forming on its own. Okay, maybe one, okay, even not one, but okay, let's just say one, hypothetically, right? Yeah, one would be, but then you got like more than just one.
Pyramid is that it's symmetrical around two different axes. Now, it's easy to dismiss these findings that it's nothing more than a coincidence that all these weird-looking structures and pyramids are within a few miles of the face. But then a professional satellite imaging specialist named Errol Torin started to look into it. He worked for the Defense Mapping Agency, and his job was literally to analyze satellite images and decide which objects were natural and which were artificial. He said that all the objects, including the face, were not of natural origin. But the D&M pyramid really blew his mind.
The geomorphic natural hypothesis is thus left with no mechanism that can explain the formation of the D&M pyramid. This object's five-sided shape and bilateral symmetry is unlike any landform seen to date in this solar system.
Torin called this pyramid the Rosetta Stone of Mars. He found all kinds of mathematical relationships between objects in the area. And as more photos came back from Mars, we found more strange objects. A lot more.
Yeah, no, there is just way too much.
Over the past 50 years, thousands of images have come back from Mars. And if you look through those images, you'll find all sorts of things that look out of place. This is an extremely tall, almost perfectly rectangular monolith.
Whoa!
Here's another monolith. This one stands over 10 miles high. If this were on Earth, it would extend up through the clouds. The top is so high that even the largest airliners would fly below it. Dang. This object has been nicknamed the Shipwreck.
And you remember that when we were having like monoliths showing up out of the blue here? Yeah, let me actually show you what I'm talking about. That is wild, yo.
Because it looks like the remains of a boat. Is it an ancient craft? Or maybe the foundation of a structure? In May 2022, Curiosity rover found a doorway carved in the rock face. I wonder where it goes.
Yeah, in Utah, right? And RIP to Charlie Kirk. He also recently got he recently passed away and got assassinated in Utah. But yeah, let's stay on the topic at hand. But yeah, no. So this I remember this was trending. I don't know if you ever figured out what they truly were all about. But yeah, no, people were, the mysterious. Let me actually go around that. So let's find out. So this was 5 years ago. So on Reddit, that mysterious monolith in the Utah desert, it's gone. Official, so it appeared and then it was gone. Officials say, and I quote, the metal structure has been removed. Utah officials said on Saturday, November the 28th, 2020, adding that they had not taken it down, and this was from United States of America. So yeah, you're looking at the picture of it. Guys, like this is insane. I would definitely love to know your take on it. So it's being said that we found that on Mars as well. And I mean, it was fascinating to see something like that, spawn out of nowhere on planet Earth, and to find them similar to them, or I guess the same idea of them on Mars, but I guess 1,000 times bigger. Shit. I mean, like, quite literally, like, what?
Here are craft, or maybe the fact named the Shipwreck, because it looks like the remains of a boat. Is it an ancient craft, or maybe the foundation of a structure? In May 2022, Curiosity rover found a doorway carved in the rock face. I wonder where it goes. Here are giant tracks on the surface. Giant. What kind of machine can make this? This object doesn't look like a natural rock formation. This one is called the Martian Totem Pole. You can make the argument that erosion created most of the odd features on Mars, but this one is very strange. I don't see how erosion could do this. Curiosity took this picture in 2015. It looks like something is hanging onto the cliffs. Here's a dome or the top of a sphere. These structures were famous. Here's a dome or the top of a sphere. These structures were famously called glass worms by Arthur C. Clarke. Here's an object that's definitely not a rock formation. A series of still images shows an orb of light moving around the Martian landscape.
What the?
Skeptics say this is a dead pixel, but dead pixels don't move around the frame. Besides, whatever the—
Lies! And we've had like a similar kind of like ball of lights on planet Earth too, right here, like moving around and shit like that.
It's larger than just a pixel. Here's one that blows my mind. This looks like the imprint of a valve or a gear. This was taken with the Opportunity's microscopic imager. Could this be the imprint left by the piece of an ancient machine? How could this mark be formed naturally?
Dang.
How about this? This was taken by the Mars Global Surveyor in the year 2000.
Whoa.
This saucer-shaped formation or structure really stands out from the surrounding landscape. And these are just a few of the anomalies found on Mars. There are many, many more. A few years after the release of the infamous face photo, DiPietro and Molinar decided to look for the original so they could analyze it themselves. At first, they had trouble locating it. Turns out, it was misfiled. Eventually, they found 35A72 labeled head in the Viking image files. And after reviewing the photo, DiPietro and Molinar felt that, despite what NASA claimed, there was more to the face than a trick of light and shadow. So they looked for the second image, the one that NASA said proves the face is just an illusion.
Oh, did they find it?
Well, it was misfiled, but they did find a second photo of the face.
Bruh.
And this one has even more detail.
Uh-oh, so it backfired is what you're saying?
Vince DiPietro and Greg Molinar felt that there was more to the face on Mars than an optical illusion. To prove or disprove the theory, they would need more photos. Even though there were other pictures taken of the face, they were surprised to find that they seemed to have disappeared.
Oh, they were surprised that NASA lost the pictures, huh? They must be new at this. Tell me again, what happened to NASA's recordings of the moon landing?
Oh yeah, they lost those too.
They lost them.
NASA sure does hire a lot of butterfingers.
That does seem to be the case.
You know, it's a good...
And the technology to go back to the moon was claimed to have been lost. That they lost the original tapes. Yeah, man, nah, that's some bull squash, bro. That's some bull squash. And then, you know, yeah.
Those two.
NASA sure does hire a lot of butterfingers.
That does seem to be the case.
You know, it's a good thing the moon landing was fake. Otherwise, that would have been really embarrassing.
They also couldn't find the quote-unquote disconfirming photographs that Gerald Soffin mentioned 5 years earlier. But even though it was filed in the wrong place, they did find a second photo of the face on Mars. And this second image showed more detail and less shadow on the left side of the face. There appeared to be 2 eye sockets, a nose, and even a mouth. But the weirdest thing was that the structure had 2 parallel and even-length sides, both hundreds of yards long and perfectly straight. And the top and bottom edges were both curved and had the same radius. It looked like a symmetrical framed platform for the face itself.
Yeah,
According to geologists and imaging experts, the face's base, if that's what it is different than anything you'd likely see in nature. DiPietro did more analysis and found evidence of a pupil in the left eye socket. NASA scoffed at the new findings, so the 2 researchers sought some outside help. And this is where science journalist Richard Hoagland stepped into the picture. He organized an independent research group and began studying the images in greater detail. Computer imaging specialist Dr. Mark Carlotto was brought onto the team. His new image enhancement techniques showed what looked like teeth in the mouth and an odd stripe pattern on the frame areas. Excited,
kind of like that's their version of emojis, like the angry emojis, you know?
By what they found, Hoagland arranged for a briefing on the results with Carl Sagan at NASA.
Carl Sagan? The millions and billions guy? With the turtleneck sweaters?
Yep, that's him.
Have trillions, billions, trillions, billions, 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 trillion, millions, billion.
So many millions, so many billions, so many trillions. Can a brother just get 2 billions or something like that? You know what I'm saying? Like
billions, millions.
At the meeting, Carl Sagan acted impressed, but he attacked the face on Mars theory in the newspapers. Hoagland pressed NASA for more photos, but NASA said it was unnecessary. Mystery solved. But NASA didn't realize.
To NASA, it always is unnecessary. Nah, man, you guys, what are you guys gonna do? You know what? Yeah, why do you want to know aliens exist? Why do you want to know this is real? Yeah, right. Like, just give us your just tax dollars. Give us your tax dollars so we can continue like doing these studies. But you don't need to know, right? You don't need to know where your money is going. Absolutely.
Realized that Richard Hoagland had a platform, a big platform.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I know that song!
From the high desert and the great American Southwest, I bid you all good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be in whatever time zone, wherever you are in the world. This is Coast to Coast AM, and I'm Art Bell. Great to be here. Lots to do tonight.
Art Bell, host of Coast to Coast AM, reached millions of people, and Richard Hoagland was on the show all the time. With access to Art Bell's audience, Hoagland was able to generate letter writing and call-in campaigns to force NASA to take new pictures of the face and pyramids at Cydonia. Now, NASA didn't agree immediately, but the pressure was starting to mount, because in just a few more months, NASA was going back to Mars.
Uh-oh. And we're supposedly gonna go to Mars, right? We're supposedly, you know, the plan was to yeah, whatever happened to that, right? Like they said that 2025 we're gonna go to Mars. Okay, I'm gonna Google that. And 2050 it was said to be that by 2050 they want to have 1 million people living on Mars. Yeah, let me Google like when are we going to Mars, right? Like let's
1993, NASA launched the Mars Observer, the first mission to Mars since the Viking days.
And liftoff of the Titan III rocket with the Mars Observer and America's return to the Red Planet.
Okay, let me go 5 seconds back here and pause for a second. Yeah, okay, so I remember them saying 2025, but now it says that human missions to Mars are planned for 2030 by NASA. But what about SpaceX though? What about like that Elon Musk SpaceX? Because that's what I remember. Yeah, okay, so this is what it says, 2026 now, okay. So SpaceX timeline, SpaceX plans to launch its first uncrewed Starship vehicles to Mars to test entry and landing. So 2026. I remember it being 2025, but or maybe that was the Mandela effect. Oh, shit. Perhaps that's what it was. Or maybe they delayed it or something, right? 2030, SpaceX hopes to send crewed missions. Okay, so first human. 2050, okay, yeah, that's the one I remember. Elon Musk envisions establishing a self-sustaining Martian populations. Okay, so I remember like them saying 1 million people by 2050 a while ago, I believe around or even before 2020, right? Perhaps now the number would be different, but okay, yeah, that one I guess we can call it that. But 2026, okay, now I remember like it was 2025, or perhaps they delayed it, or perhaps it's the Mandela effect.
Liftoff of the Titan III rocket with the Mars Observer and America's return to the Red Planet.
And NASA wasn't even going to include a camera, but an uproar from the public forced NASA to include one. There was a lot of excitement about the Mars Observer because the new camera was good enough to finally end the debate about the face and the pyramids in Cydonia.
And I'm assuming the images came out to be like lower pixel than a Nokia 2200, if that even exists or not. I don't even know.
At least that was the hope. The reality was somewhat different. Even after the launch, NASA maintained that they had no interest in photographing the face or Cydonia. The debate went back and forth until about 3 days before Mars Observer was inserted into Mars orbit.
The probe insertion.
Don't be an infant. That Sunday morning, before the maneuver to...
The maneuver to insert the probe.
Stop it.
Pause.
The Sunday before the Observer was placed into orbit, NASA sent out the Mars Observer lead project scientist, Dr. Bevan French, to debate Hoagland on Good Morning America. Now, to put it gently, it did not go well for Dr. French or NASA.
We now have a set of data so extraordinary that it demands, in the venue of any decent science, simply testing the hypothesis. The problem is that there are some folks in NASA in charge of the next mission going back, specifically that camera I referred to, who seem less than overwhelmingly inclined to perform the simple test. They will not guarantee, strange as it may seem, that taking new pictures is on the Mars Observer agenda.
By the end of the debate, even the host was asking NASA, why don't you just take the pictures and prove these guys wrong? Dr. French didn't have a good answer for that. But what happened next was even more suspicious. Less than 5 minutes after the debate aired, NASA made an announcement. The Mars Observer probe had disappeared. They'd lost all contact with it.
Wait, what?
So it didn't matter who won the debate. There would be no pictures of Mars.
They lost this thing too?
Yep.
NASA might...
Lies. Straight up bull squash, man. Straight up. What the calice de tabernacle, the jelly beans is that crap, NASA. Like, yeah, that's some bull squash, bro.
Want to invest in some air tags or something to help them keep track of all this stuff.
Good idea.
Yeah, I need to get me that Samsung AirTag because I'm on Android. I also have an iPhone, but nah, man, Android for life, man, Android.
At the end of the day at NASA, I picture 400 scientists just wandering around a parking lot there, looking for where they left their cars.
And here's an interesting side note. Hoagland and others claim they were getting leaked information from NASA insiders. According to the leakers, the Mars Observer was still out there and running just fine. In fact, it was taking pictures of the face and all kinds of other weird objects on Mars. But even if NASA had those pictures, they couldn't show them publicly, especially if they showed the face was an artificial construction. NASA continued to claim that the face was nothing more than a pile of rocks. But since they couldn't take a photo to prove it, they did the next best thing. They created one.
They faked it, right?
5 years after the Mars Observer fiasco, NASA launched a new probe called Mars Global Surveyor.
3, 2, 1. We
5 years after.
And we have liftoff. This is Mars Global Surveyor as America begins its journey back to the Red Planet.
And even though there were newer, better cameras available, NASA insisted on using the old ones.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, I understand why they were like, okay, let's not. Yeah, they were meaning to launch it without having any cameras on it, and then the public was like, yo, what? You local? You local, bruh? you, it's not working or something? Put cameras on that damn thing, man. We're going to Mars. We're not going to another street block. We're going to Mars. Put them damn cameras on it. And they did, allegedly. And then it mysteriously vanished. And 5 years later, going back, but same cameras. All right, let's see what could go wrong.
And once again, NASA didn't want to take pictures of Cydonia or the face. But after public pressure, they finally agreed to take a few pictures. Then NASA finally made a big announcement. On April 5th, 1998, NASA finally released a highly detailed picture of the face on Mars.
And it was
what
nothing?
the is this?
What was released was a grainy, noise-filled image of the face in bad lighting, bad weather, and with multiple filters applied. That night on the Art Bell program, Hoagland and his team were upset. Bell said that from his perspective, the image looked like something my kitty would scratch up in her cat box. And from that moment forward...
Yeah, okay. Man, never a straight answer, huh? Never. I mean, at least once or something, right? Like, oi, you little twats out there. Sometimes give us a straight answer. But it's never a straight answer. NASA. Never a straight answer. Never is. Never is a straight answer. Damn, man.
Perspective, the image looked like something my kitty would scratch up in her cat box. And from that moment forward, it would be forever known as the cat box image. But it looked like this image was deliberately manipulated by NASA. Lan Fleming, a NASA contractor, went back to the source data and tried to reproduce the cat box image. At first, he couldn't. But eventually, after applying 14 different Photoshop filters, he was able to do it. And he realized this could not be done by accident.
JPL removed most of the tonal variation in the original image that gives the observer the visual cues to the real three-dimensional shape of the object. They added false visual cues to give the object its rough, jumbled appearance, inadvertently falsifying the appearance of the surrounding terrain as well. The Tatbot is not a poor enhancement, as it is often called. It is a crude but very effective fraud perpetrated by employees or contractors to the United States government. Nice. Even if the face is proven to be completely natural, this is inexcusable misconduct and a gross abuse of power. If the face ultimately is proven to be artificial, the cat box will certainly come to be regarded as the greatest, most malicious, and most destructive scientific hoax of all time.
And if it's proven, and if you can prove that one of the images that they released officially is false, faked, and photoshopped, then you cannot believe anything. You know what I mean? Like, then you cannot believe their lies. Yeah.
Ever since the first...
Then what is real and what is not?
Color images came back from Mars, they've all...
Hoax of all time.
Ever since the first color images came back from Mars, they've always been suspicious. The colors were dominated by this weird orange haze. NASA said this is because of all the carbon dioxide and red dust in the atmosphere. Well, a carbon dioxide atmosphere would still be blue. Not a deep blue like on Earth, but a grayish blue. But the images from Mars show the sky as this weird reddish green color. So what's going on? These photos make the surface of Mars look like a weird alien world, but it's not an accurate representation of color. Nothing is so uniformly one color like this. For some reason, before releasing images of Mars, they ran the images through an orange filter. Now, in the 1990s, nobody would really question this, but modern digital photography software like Photoshop can tell if a single color is applied to an image uniformly. This is a simple calculation for software. It's how white balancing is achieved in photography and video. It's such an easy calculation that current versions of Photoshop give you a one-click way to solve for false color. The function is called, well, autocolor. So look at this early, very blurry image of Mars. That looks like Mars. Well, the version of Mars that's been fed to us for years. But remember, Photoshop can correct for false color. If we autocolor this...
Whoa!
Right. Now that's a very different image. Let's do a few more.
Whoa!
Does that mean that it's 100% accurate? I guess it's using the the white balance and all that, so it gotta be accurate. Let's be real. I'm not trying to disprove it or anything, but it's just that there's always that what if thing, right? What if it's but the fact that it's multiple images that are being auto-corrected and the results are similar, shit. Yeah.
Whoa!
NASA eventually learned that their orange filter technique was easily spotted, so recent pictures of Mars no longer have the weird orange tint.
Holy shit! Okay, then you cannot okay, I mean, it's proven then. Oh my god. So they even started then putting on like actual images without the orange color? What the actual hell? Why would you? I mean, okay, if it's a movie, you know, yeah, movies have color correction. You know, you posting on Instagram, you're allowed to have filters, okay? You can allow to have different colors. But we're talking about you going to Mars, giving the public the images. Why would you modify them? Why can't you give us the raw and the real images? Man, it's over, bro. It's yeah, you cannot believe anything they say, bro. Damn.
Now even NASA's pictures show a blue-gray sky and a lot of different colors in the landscape. But why would NASA not want us to know that Mars has blue skies? Some say it's to discourage people from wanting to visit Mars. The more alien it looks, the better. So, Mars had oceans and a thick atmosphere and could have supported life. If intelligent life did evolve on Mars, and the face and other artifacts are not piles of rocks, but are actually ruins of a long-lost society, we have to ask, what happened to that ancient civilization? Well, the answer to that question could be the reason that the governments of the world have lied to us about Mars for so many years.
Perhaps.
Because there is evidence, scientific evidence, that millions of years ago, the planet Mars was devastated by a massive global nuclear war.
And that might be a topic of discussion in one of the upcoming videos. We might explore that. Yeah, this is something that we talked earlier too, right? Did you see the tall white alien video? If not, check out this video on the screen and I'll see you right there.